Hey, what's up? This is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. Now, who's ready for some fighting words? In this video, I want to talk about the press conference, the rematch against Liam Smith and Chris Eubank Jr. Really quick, if you like the videos, right now, hit that like button, thumbs up. Also, if you have not subscribed, please take the time, the opportunity right now to subscribe to the channel. I am working on some new things that are going to be coming out real soon. It's going to be kind of cool. So please join the family. Without further ado, let's jump to this video. I think the first thing that we noticed is in this press conference was the humbleness of Chris Eubank Jr. He was a lot more humble. And rightfully so. You can't make the claims that you've made in the past. You can't make any of those things. So you would be a little bit more humble. And he was still himself. Chris Eubank Jr. or Sr., I don't think those are two men that will never lack in confidence. But I know, well, he couldn't say what he said prior in the first fight, or he couldn't be what he was in the first fight. In that first fight, he was a lot more arrogant, just saying a lot of little things, more so just to get under Liam Smith's skin. And just saying, he's going to eat his chicken and all that, just to get under his skin. There are a few things that I noted, though. So the first thing is that I want to touch on is the towel with Roy Jones Jr., the trainer of Chris Eubank Jr., in which case, he was saying that he wanted to talk to Roy. Listen, if I go out on my shield. Don't try to save me. This is the way I live my life, and this is the way I'm going to end it, if it need be. Basically the same thing that Deontay Wilder said. I don't have a issue with... Everybody says stuff like that in the moment. Like, I get it if we were in war and somebody was swinging a battle axe. That's one thing. Let me go out on my shield, or, the castle's being overtaken. Let me go out on my shield. Whatever. I get that. But this is a sport. Now, it would be pretty cool of Roy Jones Jr. to just let you get beaten to oblivion, knowing that you have, a child, knowing that, you have family members who love you, and there's somebody who's expecting you to make it home, and people who love you, including Roy Jones Jr. So I hear the guys when they say that, but, and I've even said that in the past, but, the older you get, I just realize how silly that sounds, to be quite frank. If you think your trainer, there are some trainers who would literally just let their fighter get beaten to a pulp. And I've had issue with that in the past with people, or, I really don't respect that. But I just think it's kind of silly. It sounds really cool, let me go out of my shield, and it sounds really cool, but it's really kind of stupid when you think about it. Like, I'm just going to let you die in front of me. I'm just going to let this man beat you to, senseless in front of me. No, I walked to the ring with you. What, I'm going to carry you back to the locker room? I'm going to carry you to the ICU? Or I'm going to have to make that a hard call and tell your mother that you're no longer with us? I think not. So it sounds really cool. It sounds really machismo. But in reality, it's kind of stupid. Like no, I'm gonna throw in that towel if you're hurting, if you're not winning. What's the sense of us watching a bloodbath? That makes no sense. So that's that. Let's see. So Liam Smith is very confident, as he should be. He did win. He won in emphatic fashion. So as he should be, he said, I'm going to get another KO. I don't feel as if anything that happened last time was a fluke. The only thing that is in question between these two is who was controlling the fight prior to the finish. And, you have Liam Smith, and he's like, I was. And I don't know what fight he was watching, because he was not controlling that fight. Chris Eubank was like, what are you talking about? I jabbed your head off, and then, I caught you with a few uppercuts. He was like, you only had success in that round, but prior to that, it was all me all day. I agree with Chris Eubank Jr. I did pick Chris Eubank Jr. to beat Liam Smith, and I still pick Chris Eubank Jr. to beat Liam Smith. I think that was a fluke, and I don't think that will happen again. Now, Chris Eubank Jr. is getting older in age, and, just having the battles that he's had, your chin doesn't get stronger over time. No, it gets weaker over time. So I don't know moving into this next fight, not to mention it's the first time that he's been knocked down. So, I don't know how he's recovered from that. And I don't know even at his age if he does recover from that. I don't really feel like, I feel like if you've been knocked down once, you're definitely going to get knocked down again. It's kind of like somebody who gets hit by lightning. If they get struck by lightning once, the probability and the likelihood of them getting struck down by lightning again is definitely going to happen. So could it happen again? Absolutely. We have yet to see, I don't feel like, in the first fight, I feel like Chris Eubank Jr., he found it kind of easy in the first 2 rounds, in which case he got comfortable. That's always how I viewed that fight. Him just being comfortable, being a little too comfortable. And, that comfortability cost him. I don't think we'll have that in the second fight, and I think he'll come to get the party started. I don't think he'll come to showboat or anything like that. Not to say that he was doing that in the first fight, but I definitely feel, he didn't feel the need to press on the gas when he was fighting. So that's my issue with the first fight. But yeah, I think if you've been knocked down before, the likelihood of you getting knocked down again is very high. Not to mention it's the same opponent. Chris needs to work on something, his defense. Liam, not so much. I mean, in terms of what he did to get Chris Eubank Jr. out of there, I still think skill-wise, Chris Eubank Jr. has more skill than Liam Smith. So we'll just have to wait and see. So Liam Smith also said you didn't want this rematch. He wanted to fight Conor Benn. He didn't want this rematch. I forced this rematch. I activated the clause. You didn't want this. And that's very telling, because you're talking about you want to go out on your shield, Chris Eubank Jr. Talking about you want to go out on your shield. Yet this is a fight that you didn't actually want. You've been sucked into this fight because it's a rematch. So it's interesting that he said, no, I made this fight happen. You didn't make it happen. I made it happen. You want to fight Conor Benn. The Conor Benn situation is still an ongoing thing, and I think eventually the Eubank and Benn will happen. And that's a money fight at any time. If it happens this year, if it happens next year, that's a money fight regardless. Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr., that's a money fight regardless. Not to mention their personalities. They're going to sell that fight regardless. It doesn't matter if it's this year or next year. It will happen. I do believe at longest we're going to wait a year, but it will definitely happen. Chris Eubank Jr. is not getting any younger. And Conor Benn, who knows, with his situation, who knows if he'll actually be licensed or I don't know his situation, so I'm not going to touch on that. But Liam made the point to say, you didn't want this fight. You didn't want this fight. So I don't know. And that tells me, I don't really know what Chris Eubank Jr. thinks about his future. What are your aspirations? Are your aspirations just to get big money fights? And, listen, not knocking you if you are, but are you still looking and, soaring for gold? That's a question for you to answer. Chris Eubank Jr. saying it could have taken more. That's a typical Eubank type of response. You probably could have, but that doesn't mean that you should have. Okay, so did he look like he was ready to go? Upstairs, yes, but his legs were wobbly. When he walked out, with the referee for the stoppage in the first fight, his legs were wobbly. He did wobble a little bit. So I guess the question is, could he taken a little more? I guess we'll never know. But I'm looking at your legs. Your legs were not there, so it's going to be a lot easier to get you off of your legs. So I think it's safe what the referee did. That's that. But that's basically it. I want you to drop your thoughts down below. Tell me what you think about the press conference, and tell me if you think that Chris Eubank Jr. will right the wrong that happened in the first fight. Drop your thoughts down below. As always, please like, please share, please subscribe to this channel.